presenting.
Okay, thank you for introduction, and thanks for organizing this webinar to Chris and definitely Maria, who is helping to translate now in English from English to Spanish. So let's start the presentation on science-based Learn to Swim program. So my name is Dr. Gennadios Sokolovas. Everyone at Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs calls me Dr. G, which is easier probably than to pronounce my name. And most of you probably met me at some events, either at the World Championships or regional championships, or have been tested by me, or your swimmers have been tested by me, or you know me from developing different software that we develop as well. So there are a variety of different projects we are doing. And I was a director of sports science and physiology for USA Swimming for many years, and also running my own company, Global Sport Technology, which developed the new science-based Learn to Swim program. Why it's science-based? Because when we worked on biomechanics already for about 18 years or so, we found that there are some mistakes even elite level swimmers are doing, and we tried to figure out how did they learn these mistakes. And once I tracked down, looked at many Learn to Swim programs, I found that Learn to Swim programs, in fact, developing these mistakes. So that led me to the idea that we need to develop science-based Learn to Swim program. Because in a Learn to Swim, there is very little science. Most changes in Learn to Swim in the last 40 or 50 years happened just not in content, but it happened only in the different toys, different colors, introducing, slightly changing the methods, but essence is still the same. I remember myself, about 50 plus years ago, I was taught to swim. I used the same drills that all Learn to Swim programs are using right now. And I looked at a lot of different Learn to Swim programs, including programs in the United States, such as YMCA, Swim America, Red Cross, as well as Australia, different European countries, Asian countries, and all of them very similar. There is very little science. And in fact, we're developing mistakes. For example, very typical drill for Learn to Swim program, when kids are keeping kickboard in front and they alternating arms, one arm, other arm. Is that a good drill to teach? No. Based on the now current knowledge that we have, we know that leaning on the arms on the kickboard develops bad beginning of the stroke, which we see all the time when we're testing swimmers around the world, not only in the United States. And as a result, kids developing bad technique because they're leaning constantly on the arms. Is fish leaning on the arms? No, fish doesn't have arms. So that's one of the reasons why fish is so good. It leans on the center mass. And we need to develop swimmers also to lean on the center mass. We need to teach them to swim without arms. Once they learn to swim without arms, then they can start using arms. And also they need to do a lot of different skills develop on land, which is easier than to develop in the water. That's why the science-based Learn to Swim program is completely different. We're teaching kids skills on land, then they are developing the skills in the water or mimicking, repeating the same that they just learned on land. About 50% of time spending on land instead of just straight in the water. And that's good for instructors and swim schools. You can double size of your groups to teach, and obviously it's a much better profits and benefits. And besides that, our research shows that teaching on land is better than teaching in the water initially. Later, you should teach in the water the same skills. That's why I'll go you through some stages. Obviously, 2 hours is not enough to explain everything. When I'm running clinics, teaching instructors for the science-based Learn to Swim program, it takes about 5 to 6 days to go through everything, through all materials. There are a lot of materials, and I try to put together this presentation relatively short, within less than 2 hours, to explain you about the science-based Learn to Swim program in order for you to understand what it's about. So let's look at some stuff that we're also working on. Just want to introduce you our company. We're developing talent ID and development database, which I will have presentation on a couple of weeks, I guess, on the November 1st, I believe. So that's you can see the information on talentidd.org, or you can at least request the information over there. So I can send you more materials if somebody is interested in advance to learn about that before my presentation. So there is also a website, globesport.org, which has many biomechanical videos and many some other information about different software projects that we are doing, vertical swim trainers that we're developing, and many other things. And if somebody interested, please email me, and I would be happy to answer your questions as well. So let's excuse me. Let's talk about this Learn to Swim program. So it's prepared by our company, which is the world leading biomechanical swimming analysis company, and we are testing thousands of swimmers. Already 17,000 swimmers have been tested, and this program allows, this biomechanical test allows us to learn much more about swimming technique and how to swim faster. And today we know that we're not swimming fast. World records even, they're not fast. We can swim much faster. But we need to avoid developing mistakes, swimming technique mistakes, when you're doing Learn to Swim program. So that's why our Learn to Swim program is targets mistakes and athletes doing even at the elite level. So we can build better technique than for young kids than even some Olympians have. So that's why it's very technologically advanced new Learn to Swim program. Our experience in sports science is already actually 40 years, not 35 plus, but already 40 years. And we analyzed swimming technique for 17,000 swimmers from 130 countries. Between them, we have 89 Olympic champions already and 120 Olympic medalists. So that's a huge database that we have to analyze, and I doubt that anyone in the world has larger database than we have right now. So we are using sports science and latest technologies to teach correct swimming technique, such as video analysis, video replay, swim power technology, motor learning techniques. So all this is included in our science-based Learn to Swim program. And we developed unique training equipment and methods which allows to develop strength and technique at the same time, such as vertical swim trainers. We're using weights and resistances in the water to make better technique and develop better technique for little kids, including Learn to Swim program. And obviously weights are very small, resistance is very small as well, but even small weight and resistance allows us to use forced swimmers or kids who are learning to swim, force them to use right muscles, or not to use muscles as well that we don't want to be used. So therefore, this approach allows us to develop good technique and to teach kids to swim correctly. If you look at every generation of swimmers, every 5 to 8 years or so, swimmers swimming faster, faster, and faster. And today we have some world record holders who are swimming very fast. But when we test athletes, we can see that athletes are not swimming perfect technique, even world record holders. So that means that they can swim faster. And when we looked at multiple swimmers and analyzed them, we found that today we can swim already, based on our knowledge that we have from our database, that we can swim about 3 seconds faster than world records over 100 freestyle. And that's actually super fast. Some people thought it's impossible, but I'll tell you, 5-10 years from now, swimmers will be swimming much faster than today. And that's normal. We're getting better, better, and better. And that's only biomechanically. We can improve recovery, we can improve nutrition, we can improve strength training, we can improve swimming training as well, better training design, better selection of sets and other stuff. So there are so many different things to improve. And our athletes will be swimming even faster than 3 seconds than world record. So that's why there is no limit in swimming. Quite frankly, swimming is developing sport only, and we have a lot of potential to swim faster than we are swimming today. So let's look only some elite level swimmers. You see some velocity curves over here for different phases in freestyle, and these swimmers are winning Olympic medals. All of them Olympic medalists, champions, or even world record holders. So if you look at this velocity curve over here, you see there is a left arm, right arm, acceleration, deceleration, and there are a lot of places where athletes losing the speed during the stroke. And can we make drops smaller, have smaller loss the speed, or eliminate at all? Yes, we can. However, we need to reteach swimmers to swim differently. That's why that doesn't make any sense to reteach them if we can teach young generation correctly. We're still working with elite level swimmers trying to make them faster, but in fact, the more we are testing, the more we understand that reteaching is much longer and more complicated process instead of teaching athletes from the beginning correct swimming technique. Why change technique if you can develop correct technique that would not need any changes? So the same is for every stroke. If you look backstroke, the same thing. You see drops of the speed, one arm stronger than other arm, in this case, right arm stronger than left arm. And there are big drops of the speed, especially in the strokes like butterfly, right here. That's world record holder, the velocity curve. So through one cycle. You see entry peak when arms entering in the water, exit peak when arms finishing the stroke. So there are many different things that can be done differently. And I pointed with arrows some losses of the speed that could be avoided. And it depends on swimming technique. And once we develop better swimming technique, I'm pretty sure young generation will be swimming faster than current generation. And the next 5 to 10 years, you'll see big changes in the swimming technique. Athletes will be swimming very, very fast. Same breaststroke. Breaststroke in general has a lot of potential because swimmers accelerating from almost zero speed to the maximum speed, about 2.5 meters per second. And these fluctuations of the speed are very high. That's why by only reducing time at the slow speed, for example, between pull and kick phase, we already will have much faster swimmers who can perform better and swim faster. And that's relatively simple to do. And that's why breaststroke has the most probably potential between all other swim strokes. So let's talk about a little bit about swimmers, age group swimmers. Where they're losing speed the most? In fact, some mistakes that we see in age group swimmers, we see the same in elite level swimmers, but on the smaller scale. So, for example, age group swimmers are losing in freestyle. The biggest losses of the speed are high head position, when they're keeping too high head position, mostly watching forward, losing balance during the breathing cycle, when they're leaning on the arm and they're losing the balance because of that. Unstable body position, that happens when swimmers swimming from arms instead of swimming from the body. They need to swim from the body. Once they swim from the body, it's much easier for them to swim and to keep straight and streamlined body position. So then unstable body position, sorry, that's unstable body position was. Then leaning on the arms, and lifting the head. So that's also mistake when athletes breathing in freestyle. That's a pretty complicated skill looks like. However, if kids are learning correctly from very beginning, it's not complicated. And swimmers swimming definitely much better technique and faster as well. And then pressing straight arm down and to the side at the beginning of the stroke. That's another mistake that we see in swimming at the beginning, especially beginning of the stroke. And that's very similar like a leaning on the arms. Swimmers trying to survive when they learn to swim, pressing arms down on the kickboard, as I told at the beginning, pressing arms down. And the result, they're developing this type of skills which are not helpful to swim fast in the water. So let's watch some videos so you can understand how kids or age group program swimmers swimming with the velocity curve as we're testing over here. And you will see that big drop of the speed right here happens at the beginning of the stroke because swimmer is pressing straight arm down and to the side instead of bending elbow and pushing water towards the feet. So a variety of swimmers have different mistakes, but there are some typical mistakes. And those typical mistakes, as you see right here, I'm demonstrating, is a swimmer leans on the arm, trying to keep body on the surface. Good head position, but stroke technique is not very good. We'll run a few more videos for you to show how kids are swimming over here, age group kids. You see, this is swimmer really leaning on the arm. She slips even with fingertips lifting a little bit up at the beginning of the stroke, trying to keep herself on the surface. Where did she learn that? That's from Learn to Swim program. That's what we're teaching young kids. And then we need to reteach, which takes time, and it's not effective way to develop good technique. So again, you see straight arm swimming at the beginning, a lot of mistakes. Many swimmers doing very similar way swimming. Let's look some swimmer from front view, how that looks like. Again, you see very straight arm, and we look speed very low, especially during the breathing cycle. He leans on the arm and even moving the arm in front just to breathe, just to balance himself. So he's not balancing from the body. And that's a very typical mistake and typical problem that we facing even with older swimmers who are pretty good. They balancing from arms instead of balancing from center mass. Again, fish doesn't have arms. That's why fish learning to swim from the body, not from the arms. All right, let's look at butterfly. Largest speed drop phases in butterfly. What we see over here. So first, pressing head down before arms enter in the water. That's again very typical mistake. Atlas pressing arms down, pressing head down, and then arms enter in the water later. Why it happens? Because again, in Learn to Swim program, we're teaching this way. Head goes down. Again, I've heard many times swimming instructors in Learn to Swim programs, they're teaching that either head or chest pressing down. You don't need head or chest to press down. You need to keep body on the surface. That's much better position than to press chest down. But instructors, obviously, they don't know. They're just following instructions. Somebody created these instructions, and these instructions are not correct. And when we're testing athletes, we see that there is a lot of loss of the speed if athletes pressing head down or chest down at that time. They need to keep body on the surface. And obviously, young kids are not strong. It's hard for them to develop good butterfly technique at the beginning, but it's not the reason not to develop. We just need to be more creative. And to be creative, we need to use fins if it's too hard for young swimmers. Using fins helps them to develop good technique. So next one, keeping arms above the head at the beginning of the stroke. That's when arms moving above the surface very slowly. Then head also sinks down. But athletes should move arms above the surface super fast. If they're moving faster, they are swimming faster above the surface, they're swimming faster as well. Because this is slow phase when you're moving arms forward. And we want to go through that phase as fast as possible. So again, we have a variety of drills for young kids to teach how to move arms above the surface faster, not slowly. And then in this case, arms and head will be entering in the water at the same time, as long as they're moving fast. And so again, if we are developing from the beginning, we can do that very easily. Next typical mistake is bending knees too much during the kick. And we know that bending the knees, that creates big resistance or drag in the water. And as a result, athletes losing the speed. And you'll see yourself on the videos in a minute or so. I'll show you the videos how much speed athletes are losing when they're bending the knees. Can we avoid bending the knees in Learn to Swim program? Yes, we are doing that already now. And athletes learning to swim correctly. They're not kicking from the knees, they're kicking from the body. That's again, can be taught, has to be taught in Learn to Swim programs. Next one, opening arms at the beginning of the stroke. If athletes opening arms at the beginning of the stroke, it's slow. They're not moving forward fast. 95% of young swimmers opening arms at the beginning of the stroke instead of pulling themselves forward. So that's a big mistake. And we have the drills to teach kids from very young age not to learn at all to open arms. So in fact, every of these mistakes, we are not teaching athletes to swim this way. We're teaching correctly. And there are drills that are forcing swimmers to or kids to swim correctly and learn correct swimming technique. And they are not very difficult, especially if athletes using fins, even in butterfly, they can do much better job. So then last fifth mistake, very typical. And there are actually more mistakes that I'm mentioning over here, and we'll go through that a little bit later with you, different examples from different phases of teaching kids. But these are like very typical mistakes that I'm now reading to you. So fifth mistake is pressing arms down at the beginning of the stroke, especially during the breathing cycle. We see even athletes using palms to press down to breathe. Can we teach them without pressing down? Yes, we can. Again, that's all. Everything is in a new science-based Learn to Swim program. So they're not pressing arms down, but they're using neck and back muscles to lift head above the surface for the breathing in butterfly. This is way more efficient way instead of using arms. And a lot of kids, they just don't know how to use neck and back muscles. And so that's why doing this as very innovative and unique drills that we develop helps athletes to avoid pressing arms down at the beginning of the stroke. Let's watch a few videos and you'll understand a little bit better how athletes are swimming and how they are moving their arms and stroke technique. Oops, so I need to go back. So let's go again. So this athlete is swimming and look at the head position. How low is the head? Athlete is pressing head down a lot. Is that a good stroke technique? Definitely not. First of all, if athlete is going so deep in the water, instead of 25-meter pool or 50-meter pool or 25-yard pool, athlete is swimming way more. Our estimate for those athletes who are pressing head down a lot, so they swim about 27 meters or yards. That's a lot. So instead of 25, they swim 27. Can we do 25? Yes, but we need to keep head on the surface. Another problem is that arms are above the head. You cannot accelerate well if your arms are above the head. And you can see that yourself, that swimmers only accelerate when hands and arms going below the face. That's where acceleration happens. And the face when head, the face of the stroke when head is below arms, it's not fast, it's very slow. But because head is so low, so in this case, it takes a long time for arms to move below the head. And every stroke, swimmers are losing. So they're not only swimming longer distance, they're losing beginning of the stroke because of that. So there are so many different things happening because swimmers are pressing the head down or moving arms above the surface too slowly. So pressing arms down for the breathing and many others. And current Learn to Swim programs are not addressing this. So that's why we need to develop new program, and that was the goal initially about 3 years ago when I started developing these new programs over here. So let's go to the backstroke and identify largest speed drop phases in backstroke. So we identified again 5 major things that we need to look in backstroke, and that's what we see in age group programs, age group swimmers who came from Learn to Swim programs. They are not swimming correctly. First, they're keeping too high head position. As a result, legs and hips are deep in the water. Second, they're not rotating. They're very flat. And as a result, arms are below the shoulders. If arms are below the shoulders, power is very low. Arms should be always in front of the shoulders. That's why they need to rotate. And also, they need to keep arms closer to the surface. So kids also swimming straight arm strokes And I noticed that in Learn to Swim programs, a lot of instructors teaching them straight arms to swim. Big arms, you hear all the time. Swim with big arms, swim with straight arms. It doesn't work well. Then kids continue to swim with big arms and they never develop good stroke technique. So that they need to bend elbow. Nobody's teaching them to bend elbow at that time, especially in backstroke, as I see. It's straight arms, very deep arms in the water. That's another mistake, number 4 over here on the list. And again, we can teach correctly with unique drills that we developed. And all these drills are in the new Learn to Swim program. In fact, there are probably like 150 different drills, probably even more than that, including on land and in the water. And kids are learning how to swim correctly because of that. And too large amplitude kick. That's also another problem when kids are kicking from the knees instead of kicking from the body, straighter legs a little bit. So again, all these things can be fixed and can be developed really well if we are using correct drills and using correct methods to teach kids learn to swim from the very beginning. So let's watch some backstroke technique, how athletes are swimming backstroke. And you'll see exactly what I told you. Okay, so see very deep arms in the water. Okay, very little rotation. And if arms deep in the water, athlete cannot generate good power. Arms should be on the surface and rotation should be at least 45, better 60 degrees from the hips, but not flat as we see here or very little rotation. Again, another athlete, very straight arms, you see. She's not bending elbows. She's not rotating. Head is high, legs are low, hips are low as well. So many different things that the swimmer learned incorrectly. Now to change that, it's a difficult process. And we still can change with our drills, but why not to develop correct swimming technique from very beginning? So in this case, it would be much easier for them to swim correctly. All right, let's go to breaststroke. See what are typical mistakes. I put 4 over here, but some of them are combined. For example, combined mistake is number 4, where late kick and wide kick. So we can separate, but it doesn't matter. I just put the mistakes that are really affecting speed in athletes, young athletes, and they are not swimming fast because of that. The first, very important, opening arms too wide at the beginning of the stroke. How many kids are opening arms with palms pointed to the sides? 99%. Okay, very little of the small of them number that's not pointing palms to the sides. Why it happens? Because again, this old Learn to Swim programs, and we continue teaching kids incorrectly. For example, you coming to go listen what instructors are telling to kids in Learn to Swim program for breaststroke. Do the stroke with big pizza. Do the stroke like a big sun. And then kids trying to push water to the sides at that time. Is this good technique? Does it move you forward if your palms are pressing water to the sides? No. Kids are losing speed at that phase. So therefore, it's very important to teach kids correct swimming technique. Palms should not be to the sides. Palms should be pointed towards the feet with fingertips down. Then you can open arms and your speed will start to increase. Again, there are a variety of drills that help. We're teaching kids to do that. You're not teaching them just big sun, do the stroke. No, you are pointing fingertips down and pulling yourself forward with opening arms. Narrow stroke technique, not the wide stroke technique that we see in many age group programs. And so therefore, to change those programs, it's a very long process and difficult one. But to teach young kids correctly, much easier. So next one, big mistake, which we're teaching also kids, moving arms forward slow and deep in the water. Obviously, it creates a lot of drag if you're moving deep in the water. So because your shoulders and arms pushing water forward if they're deep in the water. Your arms should be on the surface. like elbows on the surface and forearms completely horizontal, move forward arms. That will be correct technique. And some elite level swimmers, in fact, most of elite level swimmers doing this pretty well. But kids, almost nobody is doing that correctly. And also they do moving arms forward very slowly because nobody is teaching them to move fast. They should shoot arms forward as fast as possible, like a bullet, arms going forward. Then everything will be correct and athletes will be developing good technique. So next one, gliding in the water with high head looking forward and legs slow. How many kids are doing that? A lot. It's not 99%, but probably around 75 to 80% of kids. Because again, we are not teaching kids to do correctly. Keep neck extended, watching down, but we have plenty of drills to teach them using these drills, which will force them to glide correctly. And all other mistakes, to avoid all other mistakes. So, and then last but not least, the mistake is late kick and wide kick. That's so easy to fix. But for some reasons, and I know what reasons are, because I was coming and watching a lot of Learn to Swim sessions, and the late kick happens when we're asking athletes to be completely underwater with the head and start kicking when you're streamline position. That's not correct approach. The best timing of the kick is when arms are extended and head just barely touches the surface face. That's the best timing to begin the kick. And how many kids are doing that? 1% the best, and probably even less than that. Most of kids stop basically to the zero at that phase and then they accelerate again. And if nobody's changing, they continue swimming this way and they never reach their potential, which is very sad, quite frankly, because we are not teaching kids correct technique. So that's why we want to teach correct technique. And this science-based Learn to Swim program will help them to do that. Or wide kick. I understand maybe at the beginning it's hard for kids to do narrow kick, but we can put the drills that will force them to do narrow kick. And that's very easy. They will understand, oh, that's how kick should feel like. Okay, we know how to kick narrowly. And we're teaching kids again how to kick narrowly. All these mistakes, again, can be avoided and can be developed good technique from very beginning. Kids will never even learn by using science-based Learn to Swim program. They will never even learn in swim incorrectly. They will be swimming correctly and eventually pretty fast swimmers. So let's watch breaststroke over here. So this is underwater. Again, opening arms, too wide underwater, same like on the surface. And look how far the swimmer is opening arms, where the palms pointed, to the sides. He is not increasing in the speed. How much he drops arms down? A lot. That creates drag in the water. He needs not to drop arms, but move forward fast. What about the kick? Super late. So he kicks when head in the water. And you see this big gap between pull and kick where he's losing so much speed. Same right here as well. Girl is swimming, very wide stroke. Wide kick also. Look the knees, how much she is opening knees. That's wasting time and creates more drag, and kick is not strong as well. And again, you see palms pointed to the sides at the beginning of the stroke. A lot of mistakes that I just covered, just explain you. And she's doing all of them. So another swimmer, again, arms recovery, very deep in the water. Nobody's teaching kids recover fast, move arms forward. Then gliding with the head high. She's watching forward, that's why legs are so low. And again, that creates a lot of resistance, a lot of drag. So again, that's not correct technique that she's doing. So watch a little bit more how this swimmer is swimming. Very similar mistakes. Opening arms, speed is not increasing. Only increasing when she's squeezing elbows and when she kicks. And kick again is low. Gliding incorrectly. She's watching forward with high head, low legs. Imagine now to change all this stuff. It takes a lot of time and a lot of dedication from little kids. So in order to change, that's why we need to develop from the beginning correct technique, but not developing technique that we see over here. Then another swimmer, really wide kick, head enters in the water, and then she kicks. That's too late. She should reduce this slow speed right here where speed drops to 0.2 meters per second, even lower than that, 0.09, almost stops. She should go through that phase very quickly, very fast. All right. So you understand already that swimmers swimming not correct technique. And some of them will reach elite level even with bad technique. And so therefore, elite level swimmers, they swim definitely fast based on current understanding of technique and performances. But we can do much better. And we can have swimmers who can swim 3 seconds faster than current world record if we avoid the mistakes that I just mentioned in different strokes. And that's world record over 100. I'm not talking about longer distances as well. So let's talk about advantages of science-based Learn to Swim program. This program eliminates typical errors in swimming technique from the beginning, such as treading the water. How many programs are doing treading the water? 100%. Do we need that? No, I can tell you for sure. That teaches moving arms from side to side. Side motions are not good. And you just saw in breaststroke what the side motion means for speed. Speed is not increasing at that time. In fact, swimmers losing even the speed at that time. So next one, using kickboard. Is using kickboard good? No, because we are teaching kids to lean on the arms. Is there any fish that would lean on the arms and swim very fast? No, there is no fish leaning on the arms. All animals, fast creatures in the water, they lean on the body. They don't lean on the arms. That's why we need to teach kids leaning on the body, not on the arms. Lifting the head up for the breathing. Is it good? No. Even elite level swimmers lifting the head for the breathing. But that doesn't mean that's good. Head should be deep in the water, and rotation of the head only without any lifting should be developed from the beginning. Again, we can do that from very young age. Kids would not even know that, oh, I'm not lifting the head. What is that? They don't know that. They're just learning to swim correctly. So next one, swimming without body engagement. Another big mistake that swimmers are doing because they're not doing correct exercises on land and in the water. And they are swimming using only arms instead of using body. You need to combine arms and body. Then stroke will be more powerful because arms don't have a lot of muscles. Body has way more muscles than arms. So therefore, you need to teach kids accordingly. Use the body. And we can teach that relatively simple by different exercises on land and in the water. So then new science-based Learn to Swim program combines swimming drills on land and in the water. You learning on land certain skills, then you are going in the water and learning the skills in the water. Depends on the different stages. There are different stages, and I will go with you through these stages, or not all of them, obviously, because it's just impossible in 2-hour time to explain all the stages. But in general, we're doing drills on land, 50% time, and then 50% time in the water. And then kids learning much quicker and easier because they understand on land how they should swim. Then they're using that in the water as well. Some phases of science-based Learn to Swim program can be done without even pool. As I mentioned, we can teach athletes to swim on land, and very good to teach them to swim on land. Very correct swimming technique, using unique approach that I will explain you a little bit later and show some videos as well. So, and then kids are learning also to swim like dolphins without arms at the sides. They never use the arms until they learn to swim. So only later they start using the arms in order for them not to be afraid of the water and not to press arms down, not to lean on the arms, as we see very typical mistake in many strokes and in many swimmers as well. So that's why leaning on the body is much more important. And since kids are learning swim without arms, so they don't know what means lean on the arms. And that's very, very good. So they will be much faster swimmers in the future. Other advantages of Learn to Swim program is combination of exercises on land and in the water to save time of the pool time. And as I told, it can increase groups by double the group. We have twice more kids you can teach by using 50% exercises, 50% of session on land, and then second half of the session, 50% in the water. That's very good for your business if you're running swim school programs. Then kids can learn some swim skills faster on land than in the water. And that's we for sure know. And we know that only on land some skills can be learned correctly. And that's why where we developed these machines called vertical swim trainers about 10 years ago. And we're using with swimmers, elite level swimmers, but also started to use in Learn to Swim program as well. Swimming drills in the water don't include any buoyancy equipment to support arms. For example, kickboards. Do we need kickboards? No, we don't need kickboards to teach swim correctly. Kids don't need lean on the arms because arms always on the sides or on the back. They're never in front. And they're learning to swim without kickboard. Forget about kickboards in the Learn to Swim programs. And once kids feel comfortable in the water without arms, we start teaching kids correct stroke technique. And even that, it's still using special equipment such as small weights in order not to lean on the arms, and start always teaching to swim one arm only. That develops better technique than swimming both arms immediately and leaning on the arms. And it's important also to continue using body and legs muscles during that phase when you're teaching swimming with the arms already started to swim. But that's down the road. After kids learn to swim, we start introducing arms only. And it's all body, all legs at the beginning. So even Olympic champions have swimming technique errors. They're not swimming perfect stroke technique. We thought that, oh, some swimmers, world record holder, that's a perfect stroke technique. I'll tell you, no. There are a lot of mistakes that world record holders are doing. So that's why world records are slow. We can swim much faster than world records. And young generation will be swimming faster for sure. And this science-based Learn to Swim program, main goal is to teach better technique than Olympic champions have right now. And it's possible, and we are already doing that, teaching kids correct swimming technique. So what are problems with current Learn to Swim program? Okay, so as you already understand from my presentation so far, that Learn to Swim programs are teaching mistakes. And in fact, all Learn to Swim programs are focused more on surviving on the surface, like treading the water instead of swimming fast. So we are not teaching fast swimmers. We're teaching people just to stay on the surface and not to sink down, instead of teaching fast stroke technique. Some mistakes are typical and coming, in elite level swimmers coming from Learn to Swim program. We see all the time the same mistakes that we're teaching already. So Learn to Swim program is at least 20 to 30 years ago was the same as it is now. In fact, as I told, I noticed some exercises or drills in Learn to Swim program the same as I was taught 50 plus years ago. That's amazing. We didn't change anything in 50 plus years. We just changed toys, music, colors. That's what fun, to make it fun. But is fun the content? No, it's not fun. It's about content. Develop good technique that would allow athletes not only be comfortable in the water, not to sink down, but also swim fast. That's the goal. Teaching swimming technique without typical mistakes will make our swimmers faster in the future as well. So other problems, all Learn to Swim programs are similar and include swimming drills and equipment that develops bad habits. Again, kickboards, buoyant noodles in the water, and many other buoyancy equipment, which we don't need to learn good technique. Current Learn to Swim drills and equipment teach kids to swim with their arms. Bad breathing habits. Lean on the arm for the breathing. That's what we're teaching right now. Unstable body position. Driving stroke from the arms, not from the body. and many other errors because we just not selecting right drills, not selecting right methods to develop good technique. So initially develop this bad habits, bad skills, I would say, become habits, which we see in many swimmers around the world. I tested already 130 swimmers from 130 countries, and I see the same mistakes that a lot of swimmers are doing. Some of them faster swimming, some of them slower. Even elite level swimmers, they're doing similar mistakes, just smaller scale than sub-elite level swimmers. It takes time to change habits instead of developing right swimming skills during the Learn to Swim program. And again, emphasizing science-based Learn to Swim program. Because this is program that we developed is a science-based, based on a lot of data that we already have accumulated over the last 18 years. We can teach kids, that's why we can teach kids much better technique from very beginning. So let's go to the different phases of science-based Learn to Swim program. And we'll probably have about 5-minute break in about 10 minutes or so, halfway through that, in order for us to slightly rest, and you can also rest a little bit for 5 minutes, and then we'll continue our presentation. But let's go through these phases. I'll just explain these phases, and then we'll have a short break for about 5 minutes after that. So the first phase that we want kids to develop is good balance. And that should be done on land first, then later balance in the water stage as well. So what we selected different phases, stages. Here are 9 stages. In fact, we have a little bit more than 9 stages over here. Just to save the time, I went through most important phases over here. So developing balance on land, that's the first thing that we are doing. And I will show different exercises for you videos. You will understand what direction we are going for that. So then familiarization with the water. Also, there are some few things that are important in current Learn to Swim programs. Could be used as well, familiarization with the water, like splashes, submerging phase, and few other things. But in general, our familiarization with the program is different, and you'll see why it's different. After that, once kids already familiar with the water, we're developing balance in the water. Balance on land, balance in the water. So then after that, developing breathing technique on land, especially for freestyle, but the same for butterfly and breaststroke as well. We need to teach kids to lift head above the surface without using arms, without pressing arms down. That's why there are certain drills that help to develop that technique. And we can do that on land, in fact, easier than in the water. And kids are not afraid to be on land. In the water, they're afraid. They press water down. They're trying to do everything, treading the water and other things, unnecessary things, just to survive, to stay on the surface. And that's why we're using all the buoyancy equipment in current Learn to Swim program. But in our Learn to Swim programs, we are not using buoyancy equipment because we're teaching kids differently in the water. So that's why developing breathing technique on land is important. For freestyle, also the rotation. That's a difficult skill to learn in the water. But on land, it's very easy to learn. And kids are learning in one session. In just 15 to 20 minutes, like a 50% on one session, they're already learning to breathe correctly. We just need to transfer the skill from land to the water later. Then that's what we're doing in the next stage. Developing breathing technique in the water, correct. After that, we're developing kicking technique on land as well. So because kicking in the water, most of kids kick with bent knees, and they are not kicking correctly. That's not fast to bend knees. And they continue bending the knees, kicking from the knees for a long time. So that's why let's develop them correct technique by kicking straighter legs. And we can do that on land very easily. There are different tools to do that, and I'll explain you that as well, what we're doing on land to kick correctly. So then after that, we go to kicking technique in the water to learn, for kids to learn correctly in the water. And once they're learning on land, again, transition to the water is much easier. In the same session, in fact, after doing on land, we do stay straight going in the water. the same kicking technique, the same exercises as well, and kids are more comfortable after doing exercises on land. So next one, developing stroke technique on land. So every stroke obviously is different, and we'll go with you through some exercises again. It's will be very brief introduction to you. And if somebody wants to learn more, please let us know. We're happy to introduce this science-based Learn to Swim program to you on a full scale as well. So stroke technique is relatively complicated in the water. And instructors working one-on-one to develop good stroke technique. But in fact, with our innovative drills, kids are learning very fast that. On land first, and then going in the water as well. They're learning much faster and correct technique. Because we are not doing technique, for example, freestyle by pressing arm down. Big arms to swim. We need to bend elbow to push water towards the feet, but not press the water down as many programs are teaching. So this is short review of the different phases, and I will go now inside the phases and we'll look at the content of that. But let's have 5 minute break before we'll do that, and then another hour or so we'll go through that, and I will probably leave a few minutes for questions and answers at the end. So then let's have 5 minute break from now. Now it's already depends where you are. It's 53 minutes of an hour. So in about 58 minutes, and 5 minutes from now, we'll connect again. Thank you. All right, it's already 58 minutes of an hour. Let's resume our presentation and we'll answer a couple questions, which are basically the same question. Question is from you guys is, should swimming, learn to swim will be more fun or more correct? What's your answer? I think it could be both. It could be fun and correct at the same time. So you have fun now, that's great, but why not to use correct exercises to develop correct skills? I don't see the problem over here. Why we cannot have fun and correct drills at the same time? We definitely can. And a lot of drills that we're doing are really fun. So that's why kids can learn in fun way correct swimming technique instead of in fun way learn mistakes and then we need to correct them. So how we can do not fun or fun, for example, pressing the arms down or using the kickboard. You can do without kickboard, have the same fun as you have right now. So that's why I don't think that's a problem to have fun. Fun is completely different. So we can use fun with anywhere. And I'm sure there are ways to make fun from every drill that we are creating as well. So that's my short answer about that. But let's move on to the first phase that we're doing, developing balance on land. So balance is very important. If athletes are balancing well, so they are using the body muscles, they're more in streamlined position. So that's why we're doing different exercises, such as drills on land staying on one leg, or on unstable platform, such as Bosu ball, or some small other unstable platforms that are available. So kids can stay on the Bosu ball or stay on one leg, or even stay on one leg on the Bosu ball. So that develops their balance. And they can do different exercises by staying on one leg or Bosu ball. As a result, they will be developing good balance which is important for the water. So then they can mimic swim motions in vertical position on one leg or unstable platform such as Bosu ball as well. We are adding also small weights like a dumbbells, very little, 1 pound or even less. If kids are not strong enough to hold 1 pound, they can hold half of the pound. Very small weight. And so that will develop also a more stable skill to balance from center mass once you stay being unstable. And unstable platforms are crucial in our science-based Learn to Swim program. Most of dryland exercises we are doing to be on unstable platform or trying to find other ways to make body unstable. One of example, as I already mentioned, is staying on one leg and adding small weights. So then adding small resistances. Stretch course, for example, very light stretch course for kids to be still staying on unstable platform or on one leg. What happens when kids are pulling stretch cords staying on both legs? They're relying on the ground. Their upper body is moving. Is that a good exercise? No, that's not good because we don't want to move upper body. We want to engage the body muscles more. And staying on one leg makes huge difference. Kids immediately tightening everything and they start using the body muscles more. They balancing themselves better in the water as well. Then planks positions in horizontal position with resistance, like such as dumbbells or without dumbbells, small resistance. There are a lot of ways to make it fun as well. You can bring fun dumbbells, okay, really different colors, and then order variety of different things fun for kids to learn. That's why there is no problem with the fun. You can create fun all the time. You already created fun with current programs, which are incorrect. Now you can create the fun with science-based program, which is correct swimming technique. So teaching correct swimming technique and having fun, it can be done together. Okay. So let's look at the next one slide. It's a videos actually material. I'll just reshare with you now video materials. Give me a second. And we'll be looking at some videos with you together. Let's share my screen, so that will be easier to look over the video materials. Okay, let's look some exercises on the Bosu ball. to create balance, to make athletes more balanced. Okay, first, streamline position. Let's allow the video to upload. It looks like it's already here. You see kids are staying on the Bosu ball with both legs. They can stay even on one leg on the Bosu ball and doing rotational motion in streamline. Can the kids do that and have fun? Definitely. So therefore, everything is correct and fun at the same time. And there are actually a lot of kids coming and learning, having fun and learning good swimming technique as well. So you see again, this is how we need to develop good balance. All right, so then next one, video. Again, staying on a Bosu ball. So allow video to upload and mimicking swim motion with dumbbell in a hand. So dumbbell in one hand, other arm extended forward, and kids are doing freestyle stroke technique. Obviously, it's just rotational motion over here, not bending the elbow. We can ask them to bend elbow as well. It's not difficult for them to do on land. In the water, it's much harder to bend the elbow. So that's why here you see kids are learning good streamlined position, which is missing in many times. Kids don't understand what means good streamlined position, how to engage the body muscles, how to make everything look tight. So, and on staying on the Bosu ball, or if you don't have Bosu ball, do the same exercise on one leg. It's very simple, and kids can do a lot of good exercises. So next one, swimming on land, again, mimicking the motion with paddle on the top of the head. So in this case, rotation motion. Kids are rotating and they have to keep body straight on land. So they learning how to keep straight body in the water as well. And this engages not only body muscles, but neck muscles as well. And it's a relatively simple exercise, but very effective. And kids learning about straight neck, extending neck position, tight head position, and smooth rotation from side to side in order not to lose paddle from the top of the head. And once they're learning that, it's much easier for them to do the same thing in the water as well. So that's why everything is connected. And the Dranand sessions are connected with the balance improvements in the water as well, which we'll look in a few minutes with you as well. All right. So now let's go back to the presentation. I'm switching between a presentation and yours and the videos, sorry. So we can also use vertical swim trainers. Yeah, vertical swim trainers are very similar principle as on the Bosu ball. It's unstable machine. Athletes are staying on unstable machine, which tips and rotates at the same time. And once we are using these vertical swim trainers, so then athletes are learning to swim correctly, swim correct swimming technique. And it's more complicated equipment, but probably not every Learn to Swim program will have this equipment. But keep in mind that this is also available, and you can teach kids good stroke technique using vertical swim trainers, such as good rigid body position, good balance for swimming technique as well, correct breathing technique.
Sorry to interrupt for a second. I'm just letting you know that there's some feedback that the videos are not showing, and I'm not seeing them either.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I'm not sure exactly what I did incorrectly, if anything.
Sometimes it's just a little technical thing, just worth resharing.
Okay. So do you see the presentation or
I
you
see
don't
your
see presentation?
slides.
You see the slides, correct?
Yes.
Okay, if I will switch to the videos right now, can you see the videos?
Yes, the video is playing.
Okay, maybe I did something incorrectly. I apologize for that. Let's go back a little bit to the videos. So this is last video that I explained to you when athletes are staying on unstable platform and having paddle on the top of the head. Is it fun? It depends how you look at that. Okay, in my opinion, it's a lot of fun for kids to keep paddle on the top of the head. You can put even toys if you want on the top of the head and ask athletes to do rotational motions, staying on both legs or just one leg. So let's look some other videos as well. So I'll share with you. So streamline position with the rotation. Okay, so let's see, video should be uploaded right now. Maybe not. Okay, let's wait. Yeah, let me know if you don't see the video. The sooner you can tell me, that's the better. If you see video, then everything is good. So you see, kids are again staying on the unstable platform. They can stay on one leg. If you don't have unstable platform, you need to purchase special BOSU balls for that. You just use this staying on one leg. That's much more simple way to approach, and will be much cheaper for the programs as well. Okay, but BOSU ball may be an option as well in the future to purchase, or some other devices that are soft and kids are staying unstable. Again, you see streamline with the rotation, at least using center mass for the rotation. That's very important in swimming. And to use center mass in the water, it's not as easy to teach them. And haven't seen using the center mass to use center mass in current Learn to Swim programs. But we are doing that all the time, and you will see different exercises as well. So let's look one more video quickly, which you missed. Okay, give me a second. I should upload it in a few seconds. Okay, it's coming. So you see the video. If you don't see again, please let me know. So one arm up and swimmers swimming one arm freestyle with a dumbbell. Okay, very small dumbbell. You can put 1 pound, which is half of kilogram, or you can put 2 pounds. Depends on the size of swimmer that you're teaching. But in general, for kids, 1 pound is very easy to do on land because it's not heavy relative to their body weight. In the water, might be a little bit heavier, but even in the water can do that as well. So, and you can see this is great engagement of the body. Body is tight, strong, and as a result, swimmers developing good technique. And there are a lot of these exercises. I would say every phase has at least probably 20 to 30 different exercises. So that's why you have many choices how to develop good balance for every stroke and so on. All right, so let's return back to our presentation. I hope again you see the presentation here. If not, let me know. So here are some important skills that kids develop by using vertical swim trainers. Good rigid body position, which is very important for swimming. If body is soft, it doesn't swim fast. It doesn't glide fast. It creates a lot of drag, soft body in the water. Imagine inflatable boat. You're inflating not fully, making soft boat. That's how young kids are looking like. And you push this boat. Is it going to glide fast? No, it's going to glide slowly. Kids don't have any concept about that to keep body tight. But BOSU balls or vertical swim trainers, or even staying on one leg, develops that feeling of how to keep the body tight. So, and also develops good balance for swimming technique on land, correct breathing technique, connection between arm and body muscles to generate more power in the water as well. Because if body tight, you're staying on one leg or staying on a BOSU ball or on vertical swim trainer, your body and arms are connected with tight body. And as a result, swimmers are engaging more body muscles. And kids from the Learn to Swim program, they learning how to engage the body muscles in the stroke as well. Again, so I feel it's fun. Yeah, I don't know how you feel, but I feel fun. So then next one, correct direction of the stroke by pushing water straight to the feet. That's also very hard to develop in the water because kids are afraid. They pressing arms down. Their body is unstable, is moving constantly. That's why arms are moving from one to other direction. Very hard to develop straight stroke technique, which is much more efficient than S-shaped curve. And we're still teaching S-shaped curve in multiple strokes. Freestyle, backstroke, butterfly, there is no S-shaped curve. We need to swim straight line. That's stroke. That's much faster than S-shaped curve. Do we want to teach kids correct technique and be faster and more efficient in the water, or we don't want to teach them and continue teaching as you're doing right now? That's the question to you, what you want. But based on our research, we don't need S-shaped curve at all. We need push water towards the feet, straight line, except breaststroke where we have open arms, but we can do it differently. Let's look at familiarization with the water stage. So that includes drills to put face in the water, blowing bubbles, but blowing bubbles differently. Do we need to blow bubbles slowly? Probably majority of you will answer yes. What research you have for that? Nothing. Okay. Based on our research, swimmers are swimming faster because they're breathing faster, and when they are exhaling fast, not slowly. Plus, their buoyancy is better. If they're not exhaling bubbles, they're staying on the surface more, swimmers. And that's the way we need to teach kids as well. We don't need to teach them slow exhale. Like then inhale will be slow as well. We need to teach them hold air in the lungs, and then whenever lifting the head, then exhale fast during the process of lifting. You inhale faster. And again, you hold the breath. Don't do bubbles. And that's so many kids are doing bubbles. But the best swimmers in the world, some of them, don't blow bubbles at all. They holding air and they swimming very fast and their breathing is very short, which is better because if you breathing short, inhaling short, then in this case, you are shorter time losing speed, even if your breathing is not efficient. So next one, bobs in the water. So which is typical. A lot of, all swim programs using, learn to swim programs using bobs in the water, but our bobs in the water are different without blowing the bubbles again. We are asking kids, hold the breath, and you just exhaling when face is approaching the surface to inhale fast. And again, back in the water, hold air, feel buoyancy, because if you are keeping air in your lungs, you are higher on the surface. You are not so afraid to sink down. And that's what kids need to feel as well, to hold the breath. Then opening eyes in the water, that's very similar as in old learn to swim programs. Floating on the back and front, that's also uh, uh, is similar. However, we are not using arms for that. Okay, arms are at the sides. You don't need arms to support yourself in the water. Again, for the same reasons, because we don't want the kids to teach arms, using arms. We want to teach them to use the body muscles, lean on the body, support the body muscles. So next one, rotation drills without arms. That's very important. Kids need to learn how to rotate correctly in the water. And that's also relates also to some other stages like a gliding rotational stages as well, where we're teaching kids on land rotate without arms and in the water as well. And then kicking drills on land, and also kicking in the water with fins, because fins are much easier to use for kids, and you should not be afraid to use the fins. Fins don't develop bad technique; they develop just better technique because kids can keep a little bit higher speed, keep themselves on the surface, and they are developing better stroke technique without any fear of the water. So let's look at some videos again of familiarization with the water. Okay, give me a second. I'll just find the right videos for you. Okay, so let's look some just few drills and you'll understand how this works. Let's download the video quickly and share with you. Yeah, so you see, it is kicking and enjoying kicking the water. So that's a lot of fun for kids. Okay, so that's one of the drill. Let's go look more drills. Exhale and inhale fast. Remember I told you about that? So let's look how kids are doing that. Again, it takes a few seconds to download the video. If you don't see that, please let me know. Again, you see Kit is doing exhale very fast just when he lifts the head. He's not exhaling underwater at all. No bubbles. That's how we need to teach correct breathing technique. If you're exhaling again slowly, body is sinking in the water deep as well. And because kids are losing buoyancy. And by exhaling fast, they're learning how to inhale fast as well. Because these processes are, both phases of the breathing are related. You cannot exhale slowly, inhale fast enough. So that's why exhale fast, inhale fast is important. And as I told, buoyancy is super important for swimming. Okay. So let's look one more or a couple more videos from familiarization in the water with water qualities, such as doing paddle. You see, swimmer is pushing the water, or kid is pushing the water in one direction with paddle, holding with fingers. So that helps to kid understand quality of the water. So it's a very simple exercise, but helps kids to understand how to push the water correctly in one direction only, and he keeping tight hand as well. So, and because kids don't know what to means tight hand, and if they are in the water, so for them it's very difficult to learn this skill. But on sitting on land and using paddle in the water, that helps them to learn this technique much easier. All right, so let's move on. So there are, as I told, tens of different videos on land, in the water, on every phase, and it's just not enough time to demonstrate everything, but you already start probably understand what direction we are going with this. So the next one, developing balance in the water. It includes jumps in the water in streamline position, which similar, there are some similar exercises in traditional learn to swim programs, gliding in streamline on stomach and back, different arm position. So arms can be on the side, can be one arm extended up, both arms extended up, and alternating different things. Then using fins, even one fin and no fins at all later on. Again, starting with fins makes much more easier to learn the process, to learn to swim process. And you should not be afraid to using both fins. Once athletes already become stronger, you switch to one fin only. And once athletes already feel comfortable with one fin, you can put no fins and ask athletes to swim. So, sorry about that. So using weights and dumbbells, like a dumbbells, for example, or any weights. You can use even small rocks. That's also possible. If it's dumbbells aren't too expensive for swim school, use the rocks. You can even color the rocks in different colors to have more fun. So then with the rotation of 180 or 360 degrees in the water to develop good balance, and use pull buoy between knees or even ankles to also develop balance in the water well. So let's look again some videos of that, and you'll understand a little bit better also what kind of drills these are. You use balance. Oops. Sorry, that's all the wrong videos over here. Give me a second. Okay, this is a little bit different videos, but I can still show you some of them, so you'll understand a little bit better. Okay, this video uploaded. See, the kid is swimming, arm above the surface kicking with fins on the sides. I mean, sorry, with fins and other arm on the side. So he cannot lean on the arms. And as a result, he's leaning on the body. So that's one of great exercise, which is easy for kids to do, especially if they're already learning some things as well. So let's look some other videos. Give me a second. In the water. Okay, so gliding. Let's look some gliding drills on backstroke in streamline position and rotate on stomach as well. By the way, we start learning backstroke first before freestyle because it doesn't require the breathing. And some programs are doing that as well. So let's look some videos of the gliding. Gliding on the back without kicking, rotating on the stomach. And you can keep arms on the sides or in streamline position as well. Okay. So that's a very simple exercise, and many schools are doing that as well. All right, let's go another examples of gliding on the stomach. And so kids again, you see, not using the arms, we're trying to use arms, always keep arms at the sides. Keeping arms at the sides is easier to learn leaning on the arms. And as I told, we're teaching kids to swim without arms first, and only later they start using the arms. All right, so let's go back to our presentation again. Let's look some other phases. So next phase is breathing on land. So we can develop good breathing on land, especially for freestyle and other strokes as well. And that helps for athletes to understand, or for kids in this case, understand how to breathe correctly. So by mimicking freestyle breathing, staying on both legs, just stay on both legs initially. Later you should switch to one leg very quickly, because both legs are not the same as in the water. Staying on one leg requires body to tighten, use the body muscles more. That's what we want to see from kids in the water. Or staying on the Bosu ball or other unstable platform. There are a variety of different, not expensive unstable platforms that you can purchase online and other stores. So then include weights or dumbbells in hands. Then include weights and dumbbells keeping on the back to keep body even tighter. So you're holding on the back weights and then doing different stroke technique with the breathing on land. And adding paddle on the top of the head. That's also easy exercise on land for kids to learn good swimming technique before going, good breathing technique in this case, before going into the water. So again, let's look some videos of breathing technique on land. Okay, give me a second, I'll just find you on land. Oops. Yeah, this is on land. Give me a second. All right. So these are breeding technique on land. Let's look at them. Different drills. Okay, again, it's a few seconds to see the video. So kids are swimming, staying on one leg, even on both ball and swimming. It's more complicated, but you can do without both ball. Staying on land initially is enough. And breeding, both sides, just mimicking the breeding. That's pretty complicated motion if you're trying to teach just in the water. But by teaching on land, it's much easier again transition from land to the water. And that's a correct way to teach kids. Okay, let's look some other examples. Again, let me know if you don't see the video, just in case, because I'm not, looks like I'm doing the same thing, but sometimes connection might not as good. So next one, video is downloading right now. So kids are leaning forward and holding small weight in front. This is not a dumbbell, it's just a bar, like a metal bar. They're holding very small, and they're breathing as well. Why this is good? Because kids cannot lean on the arm. They're holding arm tight in front without leaning on the arm, as opposed to leaning on the kickboard. So you're leaning on the kickboard and breathing, then you're pressing arm down really strongly just to lift your head above the surface for the breathing. If you're holding small dumbbell, like here on land, you're not pressing arm down, you're holding arm just on the surface, or like in this case in the air, but it can be done exactly the same drill in the water with small weight in front and alternating arms without leaning on the arms. And it's a good way to learn again on this drill on land before going into the water. Let's look one more example in plank position for the breathing. Develop good breathing skills using the Bosu ball and plank position at the same time. So they're leaning on one arm and they breathe. If they are strong enough or advanced already, you can ask them even lift one leg in the air as well, or just keep both legs. That's already a little bit challenging enough for little kids. Learn correct breathing technique. And again, you see in the video how it looks like, how kids are breathing in this case. All right, so let's move on to the next stage. Again, let me know if you don't see something. I'll be looking at that. We're looking at this slides. So developing breathing technique in the water. So again, there are plenty of different drills in the water that can be done correctly without using arms, such as kicking on stomach with fins and arms at the sides, and rotating from one side to other side. Again, we start on the back, teaching without breathing, and then moving gradually on the stomach for freestyle breathing. Then the same with rotations from side to side, and on the breathing on every side. Okay. So then next one, add weights or dumbbells, holding in both hands on lower back. Why on lower back is good? Because lower back has to be tightened. You need to rotate from center mass to engage hips, and center mass should be tight. And that's a good rotation. Kids should not rotate from using arms, which we see in current Learn to Swim programs, because kids just using that, they're learning to swim by pressing arms down, by using arms for the rotation. And that's why we see so many mistakes after Learn to Swim program, which we need to fix. Again, we can develop that from the beginning using these drills that are on the screen over here right now. One arm above the surface, similar like I showed already exercise. One arm in the water, other above the surface, and moving this arm, or just keeping still above the surface. That's also good, a drill to learn correct breathing technique. Next one, kick with a dumbbell in both arms extended forward, and catch-up stroke with the breathing, like a small metal bar that I just showed you video on land. So we can do exactly the same in the water when kids are using fins. Again, don't be afraid to use fins, because your kids will learn correct technique and also much faster. The same can be done keeping one arm forward and other arm at your side. One arm forward, always with a dumbbell or small weight. It could be rack again. It's not necessarily even like metal piece or metal bar that you saw in the videos. So it could be simple rack. Very small, like a 200 grams or so, or 300 grams or 400 grams. Depends on size of the kid. But normally kids are dealing really well with even 1 pound, which is 450 grams or almost half of a kilogram. So let's look some videos in the water for the breathing technique, how it looks like. Let's find the right videos. This is bouncing gliding. Give me a second. Okay, I just need to go back to the breathing. All right, so let's look some breathing drills. Breathing to the stroke arm, swimming one arm. Let's watch how this looks like. So as you see, kid is swimming. Obviously, technique is not very good. Probably you better use fins in this case, because with the fins, it's much easier for kids to swim. And I asked this kid to hold also paddle with fingers in order to keep tighter hand position. That may be a little bit more advanced drill, but still kids can do that even without paddle if you want. So next example. Okay, so let's look. We already looked at moving arm above the surface, kicking with arms at the sides. And give you a few seconds to download. So that's with the fins. It's much easier for kids to do. You see rotating from one side to other side. And even kids with very little background, they can learn this drill to do correctly. Obviously, after doing on land, because after doing on land, they can learn even easier this drill to do in the water. And there are a variety of similar drills that we're using, as I told, tens of different drills, different modifications, making harder a little bit. Once kids are improving, we make it a little bit harder, adding weight or some other things as well. So let's go back again to our presentation. Okay. Again, let me know if switching between videos and presentation is correct or there is any issue if you don't see that. So then developing kicking technique on land. Okay, so kicking with straight legs, sitting and lying on down on the deck. So it's not very hard. We also are using loop of TheraBand. You know, probably TheraBand, white, thin rubber band used in physical therapy, yellow color, red color, and others. With little kids, yellow color is very easy to stretch. You put loop of TheraBand around the ankles and asking them to kick. So what happens then? They cannot bend knees because it's tight loop of TheraBand. And they kicking straighter legs, which is correct kicking technique. Plus, they strengthening legs very quickly. And my advice is that they should do the same on the unstable platform, just lying on the Bosu ball and do the kicking. So as a result, they will be developing also good balance at the same time, and better to lie down on the stomach. If they lie down on the stomach, they need to engage back muscles, glutes, hamstring muscles, in order to kick stronger up. And as a result, kids developing not only down kick, which is majority, if not all kids kicking only down. They don't know anything about up kick. But they don't need even to know if you're doing correct drill like this, using loop of TheraBand and also asking them to kick being lying down on the stomach. And as a result, they're developing good, strong up kick. And then for butterfly, we're asking athletes to kick with pull buoy between knees or even between ankles once they improve already with kick between knees. What happens when kids are keeping pull buoy between knees and kicking butterfly? So they are kicking correctly. They are kicking more from the body, less from the knees. And they can lie down in horizontal position on the stomach as well for this one. Then we're transferring kicking in the water, like kicking with the fins on the back or stomach. With kickboard, you can use kickboard under the hips if you want. But in general, it's not necessarily even to use the kickboard. So they can definitely start doing that directly without kickboard. Because as I told, we're trying to avoid kickboards at all in our Learn to Swim program. Then adding rotation. That's also a good thing, especially in a flutter kick. We have to rotate because we have to learn correct rotation as well from center mass. Then next step, improving, adding loop of TheraBand with fins in the water. So, and kids are learning to kick then correctly in the water or transferring the skill actually from land to the water better by using fins and TheraBand at the same time. Then add weight, such as dumbbell or rock, whatever you have, or metal piece, if you have like a small metal bar. And then kicking on, sorry, keeping this dumbbell or weight on the stomach for backstroke or on the back for freestyle in order to feel pressure on the center mass. Weight makes pressure on the center mass, and then kids for the rotation engaging the center mass more because weight is at that place where we want to target. We want kids to learn engage center mass, not the arms for the swimming. Then adding rotation 180 or 360 up to 360 degrees. Full circle 360 degrees, one direction, other direction. The same for butterfly kick. Be adding weight on the back and asking them to kick and rotate 360 degrees or 180 degrees. And then adding pull buoy for butterfly between thighs or between knees, because between ankles is a little bit too difficult. With advanced swimmers, we're using between ankles, but pull buoy between thighs or knees also is helpful and helps athletes to develop good butterfly kicking technique without bending knees too much, as we can see in some swimmers. In fact, in many swimmers after Learn to Swim programs. So now let's go look at how to develop this kicking technique in the water. Few videos for the kicking technique. Give me a second, I'll just find the right videos. Go back to the kicking technique. So let's look kicking technique. Okay, so this is example kicking a transition from land to the water by sitting on the deck. That's, as you can see, this is for kicking with both legs, similar like a butterfly, obviously maybe two straight legs, but that's okay at the beginning. Or kicking facing back. Again, initially kick is not very effective, as you can see, a lot of bending knees, but we can avoid that, again, by using loop of TheraBand. Let's see how TheraBand looks like. So this is putting TheraBand video with fins together. See red loop of TheraBand and fins. All right, and Kit is ready to swim with TheraBand and fins at the same time. It's not very difficult, quite frankly, because fins are helping to stretch TheraBand, but it restricts bending the knees, and that's a key point to learn correct kicking technique. Let's look few more drills, like kicking, let's see, with TheraBand. Again, I want to show you on the side kicking with TheraBand. Let's watch this video. And again, we have tens of different videos for every stage. Pretty good for little kid. And TheraBand, it does it work. So as you see, kid is kicking with TheraBand, very small amplitude. And you can put more stretchable TheraBand like yellow color or red color. And there are some companies doing different colors, but initially it should be easy to stretch for kids. And then later it can be done much harder. And the same can be done on land, as I explained to you already. So that's why there are a lot of options to develop good kicking technique. And this is fun. I would disagree with some people who are thinking that that's not fun. I think it's a lot of fun for kids, at least based on our experience. So let's go back to the presentation. Again, we'll look at next stage, developing freestyle and backstroke technique on land. Okay, we start always with the backstroke because it's easier for kids with the breathing. So backstroke swimming on land, we're mimicking backstroke motions, and again, staying on one leg or on the bossa ball. That's better. Then add dumbbell in one arm at the stomach on land to engage rotation and start rotation, swimming backstroke, one arm on land. So then 2 dumbbells in both hands, then holding both dumbbells in the hands and rotating arms at faster speed. Initially start slower, then increase tempo, faster tempo, in order to lose balance more. Then kids are tightening the body even better with increased tempo. Then adding paddle on the top of the head. Really nice drill to keep everything tight. You already saw similar drills as I showed the videos already for you. And then same for freestyle as well. With the dumbbell at the stomach or on the back, engaging the body muscles, staying in vertical position on one leg or on the bossa ball. 2 dumbbells, increase swim tempo, paddle on top of the head, exactly the same as in backstroke as well. So let's look few videos from this section of the Learn to Swim, science-based Learn to Swim program. Let's look at the backstroke videos. I'll just show you the different videos. Oops, that's sorry, in the water. Let's look on land. Okay, this is backstroke on land. So let's watch some videos how kids are swimming. So first, you're just learning correct technique, keeping both legs on the ground, just to start them to learn good technique, and then later, very quickly, we keep staying on one leg or on the dorsal ball. So you see, I'm asking kid to rotate the elbow, bent elbow, sorry, and do rotation from the hips. That's important in backstroke because without rotation, we see that arms are below the shoulders, which is very weak position. So let's look for more backstroke videos. Okay, staying on one leg, a little bit more complicated, and paddle on the top of the head at the same time. You see, and holding paddle with fingers as well. Good job. Yeah. Okay. You see, very good job. Really straight body. Neck is fully extended, and that's a good exercise for kids. Paddle on top of the head, plus paddle with fingers, grabbing from the top, which forces them also to bend elbow a little bit more and better. So let's look some few more videos. Backstroke, staying on one leg with weight in the extended arm. And again, we have plenty of these videos. I mean, plenty of different type of videos. Okay, this is one arm extended with the weight. Pick it up again, any weight you have. See, these are plates of the small metal plates that kids are holding and staying on one leg, rotating, bending the elbow, big rotation, and one leg on the bossa ball, which is very complicated. These are a little bit more advanced kids, but they are learning also good technique that didn't learn in Learn to Swim program. Okay, let's move on. Back to presentation. Developing backstroke and freestyle technique in the water. Mimic swim motions in both strokes, staying on the bottom of the pool first. Then slowly add walking. Add paddles, holding with fingers in a long position. What's the long position? I call it like when you're grabbing paddle from the bottom. You saw one of the drill that kid was sitting on the deck and doing the stroke freestyle, learning how to keep hand tight. So that's good position to keep tight arm. Because swimming is not about soft arms. It has to be tight. You need to always push water towards your feet, then body moves forward. And keeping paddle with fingers teaches them to do both, kids. Keep tight arm and push always in one direction, not to break the wrist, not to move like a soft wrist and in the water. So then move to horizontal position, use fins again. Fins again, as I mentioned already many times, are great to develop good technique. Then kick with rotation, 180 degrees from one side to other side with arms at the sides. Don't keep in front, because in front kids start leaning on the arms. Then swim one arm with other arm at the side. For freestyle, breathe to the stroke arm, right arm swimming, breathe to the right, left arm, breathe to the left. And add weight dumbbells in various positions, especially in front or on the back. That's two positions that are really important for kids to learn good technique, using body muscles if keeping on the back, good rotation, and not leaning on the arm if keeping arm in front. So again, let's look some videos for backstroke or freestyle. Let's go maybe freestyle videos for you. Up, these are on land. Let's go in the water. Okay, let's go find the right folder for you. And let's look different videos. So let's see. One arm swimming with dumbbell on the back. That's a great drill as well. So let's run this video. You see with small dumbbell, kid is swimming, holding small dumbbell on the back, obviously struggling without fins, but if you put fins, it's much easier. Even very beginners can do small dumbbell on the back. Or again, you can use rock or whatever weight you can have. It's not your fantasy is not limited to that. You can do what any weight if you want. You can use that. All right, so let's go back again to the presentation because time is running out. I just want to run faster a little bit. Butterfly and breaststroke technique on land. Swimming on land, butterfly or breaststroke, staying on one leg on unstable platform, such as bossa pole. Very similar methodology that we saw for freestyle and backstroke. Kick with pull buoy between thighs or knees on land. Swimming one arm. Add weights again in arm extended, in arms or on the back. That also helps to tighten the body. Then the same in a plank position, with or without dumbbells. And then add stretch cords, staying on one leg, just to tighten the body and learn how to pull correctly for butterfly or breaststroke on land and staying on one leg only. Again, you don't need like a really hard stretch course. It's very light stretch course. Help to kids to develop good body position and engage the body muscles in the stroke as well. So let's look at few videos to understand it better.
Sorry to interrupt. Just wanted to make sure that you knew the time was nearing
Yes,
2 hours and just to
correct.
prioritize. making sure we'll get
Okay,
everything done.
almost done. Thank you, Chris, for reminder about that. Okay, so let's look some butterfly or breaststroke. Let's maybe look at the breaststroke, some drills, so you will know a little bit better what kind of drills can be done. So there are a variety of drills for being in horizontal position or on in vertical position staying. Let's look at, let's say this one, for example, breaststroke staying on one leg and moving with one arm as well, doing the drills in breaststroke. So let's watch this video. See, person staying on one leg and moving arm up. Why one arm is better? Because you're doing narrower stroke. Also, you're not opening arms as we saw in swimmers. As I told, 99% of Learn to Swim programs, they teaching big sun or big pizza to begin the stroke. That's not correct. And we working hard to change this technique later for our athletes. All right, let's move on. We're almost done. So developing butterfly and breaststroke technique in the water. Probably will not show the video just to save the time, but you'll understand from the description of these drills. Kicks in streamline position by jumping up from the bottom of the pool, gradually moving to horizontal position. Add dumbbell in the hands in front in order not to lean on the arms, just keeping small dumbbell or again, any other weight you want. Add rotation, 360 degrees. One arm stroke with other arm at the side. That's progression that you can see I'm reading. One arm stroke, so athletes can improve better technique one arm than both arms because they're doing much narrower stroke, especially in breaststroke and also butterfly as well. Then add dumbbells in a stroke arm in order to move arm also above the surface or on the surface for breaststroke, forward faster, small dumbbell or even less, like a really small piece of metal or small rock. Then add freestyle kick for breaststroke or butterfly and use all, whenever it's possible, fins. I know the breaststroke with kick, normal kick, you cannot use fins, but all other positions, butterfly kick or freestyle kick, breaststroke pull, you can use fins very successfully. Okay, and again, I will skip the videos just to save last minute times. And eventually we need to develop swimmers that would be mimic dolphins or fish, which they don't have neck, they don't have hips, they don't have arms. They're using body muscles and using legs as a tail. Then our little kids will be very good swimmers in the future. And they will be also good survivors in the water. If they have good technique, efficient technique, they will be definitely better. So that's why I want to finish my presentation on that note. And please let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer these questions to you right now. Okay, don't see. Oh, actually, I see in questions and
Yeah,
answers
there
section.
are a
Okay.
couple of questions in the
Okay,
Q&A.
let's try to answer. First question, what would be ideal way to transition from traditional teaching model to system like one we are proposing? Should be an abrupt, gradual change, mainly. Yeah, that's a good point. I probably don't have good answer to that. I would probably change immediately if that would be my school or so, because there is no sense to develop mistakes as we are developing right now in Learn to Swim programs. It makes more sense to develop correct swimming technique. That's why I would change entire system right away. So the next question, teacher, that's in English. Sorry, not in English. I cannot read. If Maria can translate, would be great.
I have the
So
translation of it. They were wondering kind of how often and how long of a session, like the percentage of a workout you would use paddles for.
paddles for, sorry, I couldn't. Are you
Like,
talking about? So every session, I mean, drills have different. I mean, the same duration. Okay, normal duration is about 40 minutes session or so, 20 minutes on land, 20 in the water. If you're asking about paddles used, you don't use paddles for entire session. You just use for one drill that you saw, but you don't need entire session. And I'm not sure if I answered all the questions, but at least I understood question like this. So then last question, not the last, sorry, second to last, if no leaning on the arms for the breathing, how do we get them to turn and stay up? Very simple. I showed you kid was keeping arms on the sides and rotating and breathing the head, and entire body rotates. That's how you need to teach correct rotation. Arms are not for the breathing. Arms are for pulling yourself forward. And that's why there is no arms. Next one. Where we can obtain videos, probably that's the question in Spanish.
Yeah.
If you're signing for the program, yeah, you will obtain all the videos. So why do you not like kickboards? I already explained that kids are leaning on the kickboards. You want kids to continue leaning on the kickboards and lose the speed? Yes, then you can use kickboards. Or you can not to use kickboards at all. Keep arms at the sides. So that will be better. So next question, in mimicking water weight for the dumbbells in hands for the length exercise minimum, what is the minimum and maximum weight get for kids? Yeah, so minimum probably weight is like a half of the pound. Maximum weight is definitely not 3 pounds. It's 2 pounds the maximum weight. And that's mostly on land, not in the water. In the water, I would keep 1 pound. This is again in Spanish, 2 questions. Can somebody help with translation?
I am working on it.
Okay. Thank you, Chris.
Just asking where if there's a list of exercises and drills that will be available. So this
Yes, it is
slide,
in the program. Yeah,
yeah,
it's in the program. It's impossible to present everything. That means I will be giving you program forever, for free. So you need to sign up for the program if you're interested in that.
okay. Um, can we do one more? There's one more in English there at the bottom.
Yes,
And
is
yeah,
armbands necessarily for the beginners. Armbands are a little bit different. They still on the arms. I would probably do, if I would use, will be very minimum use of armbands. So you don't need to use a lot armbands. And our experience shows that kids can learn even without armbands. How do we sign for the program? Just email us. You can email through the globesport.org website or directly to me at the beginning of the presentation. There are email addresses that you can reach out.
perfect. So thank you very much for your presentation today. There's a lot of great information, and we'll make sure if you registered for this session, there will be a follow-up email, and in that follow-up email, we'll include the contact to reach out to learn all about the program. So thank you everyone for joining today. Hopefully you all left learning something and will be producing more efficient and faster swimmers as a result of it.
Okay, thank you so much, Chris. Thank you, Maria, for translation. It was great working with you, and hope to see you next time at my next presentation on November 1st on Talent ID and Development Database.
Thank you, and watch for that registration. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.